thank you guys for having me here. It's an absolute privilege. Genuinely, if you told me 4 years ago that I would be standing here at the Shreyas Institute, your university, giving a speech about myself, I would have just absolutely laughed at you. I know it's all about talking about tomorrow, and content creation is just the way of the future as a whole. I started my journey in, you could say 2024, but my first time to India was in 2023, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I remember back in primary school, and I told this story last night to someone, and I was in primary school, probably year 6, and I hated public speaking. And I mean, I hated public speaking. I deliberately would stutter. I'd be like, just stutter, so I didn't have to go up and speak in front of the school, none of that. And now I'm here today, which means an absolute world to me. But back in 2023 was the first time I came to India and Delhi, and I'll be honest, my first impressions, I was like, oh, gee, this is going to be an interesting experience, because I remember as soon as I had no idea about India, I was on a boys' trip in Vietnam and we went to Bali, and then I was the only one going on to India, and at the time was the BGT, Australia versus India, and I always wanted to watch the cricket, but it's honestly, and this story is crazy because it's just the little things in life. I wouldn't have been here today. I remember in Vietnam, I got extremely sick, food poisoning, because I was just some 19-year-old and I was trying every food. And I mean every food, duck eggs, you could talk duck brains, anything that someone put in front of me, I would eat. And in 2023 Vietnam, I got extremely sick. And I remember I called up my parents, and I reckon that night I was with 2 other boys, and we planned in Vietnam. As you do, 19-year-old, you want to just party, drink, celebrate, all that sort of stuff. I'm sure you guys are aware of that. And we were in Vietnam, and the next night I spewed 23 times after this street food tour. And I remember I was absolutely cooked, and I was going to India in 4 days to meet a mate. It was actually Mumbai, but it was by pure chance that I ended up going to Delhi to watch Australia versus India. And I remember my phone call, my parents, and I literally had the tab open in front of me, cancelling the flight to India, and I didn't. My dad talked me out of it, and for that I'm extremely grateful for, because I would never have any of these experiences, going around watching sunrises, going around watching Australia, the cricket, watching Paddy Cummins, Travis Head, Abhishek Sharma, all those boys, getting to interview Surya Kumar out on Wankhede Stadium, which is, you know, it's just little amazing experiences like that. And I remember, when I came to India, Delhi, Jesus Christ, that was an interesting experience. I walked out the airport and I had no idea what to expect. And I reckon I was by myself, I reckon I had about 10, I think it were rickshaw drivers, and they came up to me, sir, cheap price, where you going, hotel, where you going? And I thought, Jesus Christ. And I was staying, I think I'm probably going to butcher this pronunciation, it was Paranganj, that little like dodgy area in Delhi. I booked a cheap hotel there, and when I got to Paranganj, I remember, people just running up to me, and then these people, they came up to the car and they're clapping at the car, begging for money, all that sort of stuff, coming up to me, and I thought, you guys know, and I thought, geez, how am I going to survive this next week? Australia versus India, Delhi. And the first night in India, it was an interesting experience, because I wasn't so developed to cricket, or cricket knowledge as a whole, believe it or not. I'd always played cricket growing up, but I was never had really knowledge of it. And we're in this bar, I'm with one of my best mates there in Delhi, and it was a low-key dodgy bar, some place you wouldn't expect a professional cricketer to hang out at. And to this day, it still gets me what these people were thinking. They genuinely thought, and I mean, this wasn't a 5-star bar, it was just a normal bar in Paranganj, that area. And this guy came up to me, he goes, Sam, what are you doing? And I go, what? What are you talking about, Sam? And he goes, Sam Curran, what are you doing in this bar in Delhi? And I'm like, what, is this guy for real? I turned to my mate and he goes, yeah, no, he's for real. And ever since then, Sam Curran, I mean, I think I've done Sam Curran an absolute service in terms of everything. I've gone all over India just promoting cricket. I've had people come up to me about Sam Curran. What are you doing in a yellow Australian top? I know, genuinely, CSK game, Sam Curran had gone home injured. And as you guys know, you may or may not be aware, I like to dress up for Sunrisers games. And I like to wear a massive orange suit. I like to to stand out and, you know, make sure Sunrise is represented. And we're in Cheepak. And this CSK fan was convinced I was Sam Curran in this massive, massive orange suit, chanting Sunrises. And I'm like, oh my God, this cannot be for real. And no, it's honestly, India as a whole, getting these opportunities has been amazing. And with content curation, it was kind of, I don't know, I kind of fell on it by accident. Like, I never went out saying I was going to make videos, or I was going to, I don't know, go to the cricket and create such an attention, because I was always passionate. And when I came to Delhi and watched the cricket, that first day, I fell in love with the people here in India, the atmosphere, and just the energy. Because people often ask me this question, you know, what's the difference in crowds? And look, I'll be honest, you Indian fans, when it comes to Indian cricket, watching just India play as a whole, you guys are next level. Like, genuinely next level in terms of just the atmosphere, and it's craziness. Like, Virat Kohli came to the fence. And I was like, oh my God. And this guy's like literally banging on the fence, Virat. And I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. And this was my first ever time in Delhi. And, I still remember it to this day. It was the best, awakening of my life. Like, getting that experience to be able to go to the cricket. And the 2023, I know it's a sore point, so try not to kill me, but the 2023 World Cup was later that year. Sorry guys, that was one of the best moments of my life. But I went to indoor after Delhi, and unfortunately I had to go home. I watched Australia win a test match in indoor, so I was really, really happy. But I made a promise to myself. I said, I'm coming back to India in 2023 at the end of the year to do the whole 2023 World Cup. And in my opinion, that was where you could say the journey began. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, and I try not to dwell on hindsight, but I wish I started creating videos then, because I'd probably be a little bit more well-known, or I'd probably be a little bit more, you could say, bigger in terms of creating videos. But I was so glad I came back in 2023, because if I could live a period of my life all over again, that would be it. I got to travel over with my dad, and that was probably the best gift that I could have ever asked for. And I remember the first two games, we versed India, Mitch Marsh dropping that catch. I think it was Rahul or something, and it was an absolute sitter. And I was like, geez, Mitch Marsh, what have you done? That was in Cheepak. We lost the first game, and then we got absolutely smashed against South Africa. And I thought, geez, I'm probably not going to witness a win here. And then Australia just went absolutely undefeated throughout that tournament. And I mean, I remember Ahmedabad, that final, and it was a sea of blue. I reckon me and 5 other mates, we were the only ones in yellow, and we're walking up the stairs. Well, I'm walking down the stairs, and I just got booed, literally, just because I had an Australian top on. I remember the days before, people were just giving it to me, something shocking. And I remember this was a kind of a turning point as well for me in terms of getting into social media as a whole and understanding what it was really about. Was Dharamshala, and you guys once again may or may not have seen the video, but I was actually there by myself, because we all spread out around the stadium, and my mate said to me, well, sitting next to me, this random Indian guy that I hadn't met, he goes, oh, do you know, I think it's Bharat Mataki. And I go, oh, yeah. And he goes, what would be really cool if you did Bharat Mataki down the front of that stand, because it was really dead in Dharamshala. And I remember I did that in front of everyone, did Jai Shri Ram, all that sort of stuff, and that just went absolutely viral around India. And then I realized, shit, this is actually really cool. People coming up to me being like, gee, I've seen your video, that's amazing. Oh, I know who you are. And I thought, this is what I want to do. So then the following year, 2024, I'll never forget it, IPL, I remember in Mumbai, I did my first ever, and you may have not seen it, I do street interviews. I go street interviews all around Perth. I do it in London. I've done it in the US. And I remember my first ever street interview was in Mumbai, out the front on Marine Drive. And geez, to this day, I still cringe at it, because I'm standing there, and it's amazing how you grow from one facet to where I am today, speaking in front of all you guys. And I remember my first ever video, I was literally standing there like a stunned mullet. Sorry, that's Australian slang right there. But I was standing there like a stunned mullet. I've got 2 people next to me. Hi, I'm here with... I'm like, who's your favourite cricketer? Why is he your favourite cricketer? And it was just the most boring, basic interview. But my point is, everyone needs to start somewhere. And I know a lot of people, love to make videos. And that's really, really good, because where there's a starting point, you've got to continue. There's no stopping. If you want to get to somewhere or get to your goals, starting and then continuing on, not stopping, is the most important thing, and that's growth, and that obviously leads in today's topic. And yeah, from then on, I went around the IPL. I was supporting, well, basically you could say since 2024, supporting SRH, and I mean that was a little bit of a sore point, considering we made the final in GPAC and we lost to Kolkata. Jesus, I do not. Mitchell Starc, he still gives me nightmares from that day. Travis Head, what were you doing? Not even facing the first ball, but sorry, that's me dwelling on there. But yeah, we went 2024 IPL, and I did a little bit of street interview content, but I was like, geez, this is really, really cool. But what am I going to do afterwards? And I think it's all about adapting, in terms of if you're doing social media videos, you've got to do the videos where, the people or you may think is cringe. And back in August 2024 was when I started YouTube, and when I really, really wanted to get into it. 2024 August, I went around, and I'll never, ever do it again. No one can ever change my mind. I went around Perth City, my home city, where people know me. And once again, you may or may not have seen the videos. I went around asking people just, oh my God, the silly questions. Hey, have you seen this person, or do you recognize this person? Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma. I did them all. Steve Smith, Pat Cummins, Travis Head. And I remember the first time we did Pat Cummins, Travis Head, the Indian media picked it up, and it went viral all around India, because people actually didn't recognize Pat Cummins and Travis Head back in Australia, because cricket's obviously, it's not one of our main sports. And yeah, 2024 was a learning year for me. 2025 was when I kind of really got going, and there was a few challenges. Lost my granddad, and we had a few family problems, and I always wanted to do the whole IPL season during 2025. I've missed maybe 2 weeks. It was those 2 games against Mumbai where, I don't know, Ishan Kishan just decided to walk after, I don't know, I think he nicked it down leg side and he just walked. No idea what he was doing there. Still questions me to that day. But 2025, we went to the IPL. I've been around to England. But the most important thing is I just want to make you guys recognize that social media is such an important aspect in everyday's life. Now, I could go on, giving examples and stuff, but the most important thing is brands, everything. Social media is the future in terms of Instagram videos, Facebook videos, TikTok videos, YouTube videos, everything, because influencers or content curators, and I don't even classify myself as a content creator influencer. I just make videos because I enjoy doing it. I enjoy promoting cricket, and that's what I've done all throughout Perth, Australia, which is really, really important to me. My hometown has 2 million people, literally probably the population of the suburb out in Hyderabad in Jubilee Hills or something. And I've been promoting cricket just because I love cricket as a whole. I remember we done bowling with strangers videos all throughout Perth, where even in Sri Lanka, we did a little bit in India as well. But brands today, all social media is watched. Everything there that you do is going to have an impact on the future, your social media presence. And if you're going to want to get into content creation, now's the most important time, because as we grow, we're into an era where you could say Gen Zs are taking over. In a way, Gen Zs are taking over in a way where social media is going to be the future in terms of everything about it. And I've traveled all around. I've interviewed, literally 2 weeks ago, I got to meet one of my idols, Surya Kumar. And, from where I began, which was literally nothing, I think it shows, perseverance for anyone that's trying to, take control of their social media and make a name for themselves. And the most important thing is you've got to do that something you like, because, if I didn't like coming to India, or if I didn't like cricket, I wouldn't do it. And I know when my time is up is the time where I go to a Sunrisers game and people say, shit, your videos are crap or whatever. And that's when I know my time's up, because obviously you guys, I think you're a little bit younger than me, and your time's going to come through. Whoever wants to do social media, I don't know what you guys study, but most importantly is perseverance. That's what I would say from my journey. And look, I think in the future my goals would probably be to settle down somewhere where I own a podcast or run a podcast, like kind of like the grade cricketers, boys. But no, look, it's been an amazing journey so far. India as a whole has treated me amazingly, absolutely amazingly. I've traveled all around, and look, I wouldn't have changed it for the world. I've literally probably I've gone to almost every cricket stadium in India, and the recent IPL was probably the best month and a half. I know the 2023 I said, but probably the best month and a half of my life, because I got to come into Hyderabad. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of like my family, my home. When I set foot into Rajiv Gandhi Stadium, the amount of people that come up to me saying, I love your videos, and it's different, doing these TED Talks and stuff, whereas you're on the streets and, you're engaging with fans, you get to meet so many people, and that's why I love what I do. I love the experiences I get, and if I can leave with one bit of advice today, then I think the best bit of advice would be just to do it, and you only get one life. So if you want to try something after this, or you want to go into something venture, that's what I'd say is you get one life, make sure you make the most of it. Thank you guys, thank you so much.